Cue Sadhu-Bhav. Thank
Cue.
you for the interview.
Sure.
Can you comment on your family background?
Sure. I grew up in a fairly small town to a family, oddly enough, with no musical background, considering that's what I got into. My father was a mathematics teacher, so that's given me a pretty heavy dose and sense of a scientific, analytical approach to almost everything, I would say, in my life. He passed away when I was 16 years old, but we were very close, and he's had a huge influence on my life. Absolutely.
Can you speak on your musical background, education, or training?
I started playing. Well, I actually played violin for a year when I was probably 7 or 8. And then as soon as I recognized percussion and drums as an option, I realized that I had to do that. There was no other choice. That's what I wanted to do. It was never a thought of a career or anything like that. It just, I needed to play. I needed to play drums. So I did that through elementary and middle school, and developed an interest in jazz in middle school, and continued through high school with that, where I listened to, big band music, Count Basie, through smaller group, Miles Davis, listened to great players of all instruments, Wes Montgomery for guitar, Roy Haynes, Art Blakey, the list is pretty endless. And then I sort of discovered John Coltrane's music, and that brought it to another level. I was hearing something beyond just music at that point, a spiritual element that felt that had a deeper presence and a deeper resonance with me, and so that I really concentrated on that sound and that feeling, and was surprised at the lack of more of it out there. So this is around 18 or so, and I had this urge to go to the New England Conservatory to study with Bob Moses, whom I really had a minimal exposure to as far as his playing or anything else, but I just had this sort of intuition that I needed to go there and specifically study with him. And my first lesson there, he told me about a gig that he was a part of the following week, where Tisziji was the leader. And I went to it and I saw it, and from then on, I saw that concert, and I did not know what was going on. It was a totally new thing for me, what I heard. And I wasn't sure what to make of it, but I knew I needed to get into that a little bit more. And so over the years, studying with Rock Alam, Bob Moses, I was exposed to more of it. I ended up going to more shows of Tiszijis throughout my experience in college and beyond. But ultimately, the real education didn't begin until I received training with Tisziji, where we had a lot of hours of one-on-one musical and spiritual and every other kind of training possible. And that's when I realized that most, if not all, of what I learned was not really serving me well, and I needed to break it down and begin again, and end the copying and the memorization and that kind of thing, and really learned how to create, how to be a creative person and have that energy, which he lives and shows to, at least to me, but I believe to anyone who spends any time with him.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Can you comment on your jazz experience and why jazz?
I'm not entirely sure. It seemed odd because it was certainly not popular to listen to or play jazz when I was growing up, but it seemed like the more, as a drummer, a more interesting music. There was more complexities involved that drew me in. I found that to be, the rhythms had more intensity and were more interesting, and it wasn't, even though it came from dance music, drummers like Elvin Jones certainly brought it well beyond that. And there was something about that brought me to it. And then the Coltrane thing had such a higher level of a spiritual feeling that's what kept me there.
Why would you say Bapu is important to you?
I would say that Bapu's direction and teaching and instruction and friendship have made it possible for me to be the kind of musician that I didn't know was possible for me to be, a kind of person that I didn't know I could be. I think in those respects, I don't know what my life would have been like had I not had this experience, but I'm very happy to have gotten to spend all the time that I have, about 10 years at this point, in his company. I think creatively and in just an everyday lifestyle sort of situation, I feel that I've been given a chance to have a lot more freedom than I was giving myself.
What do you feel Bapu's purpose or work is in the world?
It seems to me that his purpose is different for everyone. For some people, it's just the music that they get healing from, or that they, can get out of their minds and bodies with. For others, it's the written word, and others the personal instruction. Certainly not everyone is going to necessarily be able to have all of that, but I think the example of that one can live a life like that can be spiritual and can be beyond the limitations that we normally impose upon ourselves. Serves as an example, and whether or not people use that, it's there. And I think just having that in existence is certainly helpful for this world.
How has Bapu's influence helped your music or helped you to be a better person?
Well, as far as my music is concerned, I feel like I've been able to feel free to take on challenges I wouldn't have thought possible. Never feeling that I can't play when I'm in a situation. I have no doubt that I'll be able to adjust and support whoever I'm playing behind appropriately, because the task of playing and being a cushion for Bapu is the most difficult. It requires the sharpest attention and anyone else it's much simpler. Also, musically speaking, in a sense, I have begun engineering and recording my own and some of other people's music, and I don't think that would have been possible. I don't think I would have taken on such a what seemed like daunting task if I didn't have the confidence in my own ability to work through problems and teach myself, those are skills I feel like I gained from Bapu, from spending a lot of time with him. And as for my personal life and my everyday life, being more at peace with myself and not in conflict with my situation or with other people, I think that is a result of talking with Bapu, practicing, meditating, sitting. All of those things have made created tremendous results in terms of making everything easier and clearer.
Is there a difference between what Bapu plays and other people's music?
There's a huge difference. What Bapu plays is truly original. It's always different and fresh and powerful, and it speaks to the moment and to those who are present or not present, or the space and the time. It's unique every time, to the people playing as well. You know, I've never experienced the level of peace and intensity simultaneously from any other music. It's also from spirit, and I don't have any doubt about that. You can hear it clear as day, and I think you'd be hard-pressed to find much, if any, other music that is created that way, on the spot, for the needs of the people who are there, and with that pure level of intent and execution, and the creative genius behind it that can never stop and go for hours, and even then only stops because the rest of us playing behind can't keep up.
Is there anything that Bapu has wanted you to become?
I think that Bapu's never laid anything on me. I've always felt free to make my own way, and I think that's the most beautiful thing about being here. I never felt like there was a trip being laid on me that I needed to become this or that. But at the same time, Bapu's encouraged me to take on whatever, demands or responsibilities that I feel like I need to. When I came here, I had no intention of playing drums with Tisziji or at all. I came because I was interested in what was going on and the teachings, and I loved the music that I heard, but I never had an intention of playing. And over the years, I got instruction and training, and that has allowed me to grow into being more supportive, and hopefully growing all the time to what he does and how he does it. And, my own goal has always been to be as good a support as he deserves, if possible.
Is there anything special that Bapu has asked you to do?
He's certainly said to live this way, and to live it for other people, and if possible to share and teach with others, and be an example, and to help spread, whatever benefits and things that I've learned here beyond to the people I play with, the family, friends, etc., to help them out.
Do you feel like you're part of an organization, group, or tradition, or do you feel like you're on an individual path?
I'd say an individual path, but also with support and guidance of the people that are here, and of Tisziji and fellow musicians. But an individual path nonetheless.
And how did you come to play with Bapu?
Well, I came, my first visit out here, I came out and we sat and talked, and I mentioned that I was listening solely to his music and the music of Coltrane and Pharoah Sanders, because I was feeling nothing from everything else. And Bapu called me like 2 days later and asked me to come sit in on this show at the Tonic in New York, and without having ever heard me play, simply from that one meeting. And I went down with Rakalam and sat in, and it was quite an impressive and intense night. Rashid Ali, the great drummer, was in the audience that night. One of my favorite drummers, but he was there. And I only lasted one set. It was too intense. It was great, but far beyond where I was ready to survive. I was toasted. I was out like a light on the ride home, but it was a perfect way to begin this journey, I'd say. Right in the fire.
And is there anything else you would like to say?
Yeah, I think that Tisziji music is without a doubt an illustration of genius. But I mean, I think that's not even really a strong enough way of saying it. It's far beyond conventional genius. It springs from somewhere that no one knows and can't understand, and it flows ceaselessly. And his life is that. The music is that, but when the music's over, he's always teaching. He's always full of insight and always working. I've never seen him rest. And even in rest, I'm sure that there's work that I don't see going on. So I consider that to be the highest form of genius you could comprehend, if even begin to comprehend. And I'd say that is something that would be hard to see if you're not here, if you're not in the music and experiencing the depth of what that is. And then there afterward to see the aftermath, and there the next day to see the conversation and to see how texts are written and how individuals are helped on the spot. It's that intensity that really exemplifies who he is and what he does for everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.